2007. One of the most influential quotes early on in my career. 20 years later, let's read it, shall we? I think there is great value in perfecting technologies that set out to eliminate the webmaster, the developer, and the designer. This is what Drupal is all about. Rewritten for 20 years later, I think there is great value in perfecting technologies that set out to eliminate every role that separates you from being creative. This is what HAX is all about. Welcome to the DID movement, or digitized instructional designer via skills. Skills are amazing. You can do some incredible things with skills. You can check out skills.sh for some of them. Yes, these are usually very developer, coder, programmer centric, but already have architects eliminating senior devs using these sorts of patterns with AI. So if I type in instructional design, there's not enough things there, so I can't quantify what an instructional designer is. But content chunking came up from a recent conversation about skills that IDs really need to have. And every skill that we're going to add into PRAW is geared towards how would an instructional designer optimize HAX in this process. So in this case, this skill is for auditing content, finding pages, leaning on, in this case, well, make sure we don't use Bloom's taxonomy in this case. The core analysis threshold has to do with things like list fatigue. It's pretty cool. So I shouldn't have a bulleted list that's 12 items. I need to chunk that more appropriately. Also comes up with guidelines associated with how long paragraphs should be, things of that nature. Then relates it to additional things that we can put into our content to help chunk it out, including self-checks, multiple choice, fill in the blanks, stop notes, all of the processing that would take place in building educational content in HAX, and then saying, ooh, to better reinforce this concept, let's put this in here. All right, so we have some examples of inputs, outputs. So how do these things get populated? How could we trust them? So I wanted to show creating a skill. So I already made that skill, but all right, let's move that up there. I have a PDF that I would like summarized using a skill that goes through and reads PDFs and summarize them. Here's a PDF in instructional design concept known as understanding by design. I'd like you to summarize it and propose potential skills, AI agent skills that could help satisfy the knowledge and value of UBD as implemented in HAX content. Site-based content. All right, so I've already installed this skill, which literally is copying and pasting a command. All right, and I can't include this PDF, but what I want is the worldview and knowledge data mined out of said PDF, so I know how it would relate to HAX and the way that content is built in HAX. Now, this is while this thread's taking place. We've been over here, and this is now a feedback loop that I'm starting to optimize for. So I'll make something and go, oh, that's neat, and then I'll make an issue about the thing and expand upon it. This way it's written down. All right, so if you've followed any of the mini-me's work that I've discussed previously, effectively, I'm using the GitHub issue queue to create a digital copy of myself plus PRAW. So somewhere between PRAW, P-R-A-W, and all of the issues of everything ever written, there should be enough language scoped in the right direction to be able to create agents that think close enough to the way that I think so that I can scale myself out further. So I go and I take the idea and go, that was neat, implement the skill, have it test the skill, and then I write about the skill, even in this small way. always linking to other concepts. That way it gives it data to interrelate, kind of like cortex in a brain, right? We're linking between ideas here. So, for example, there's always been this issue for digital instructional design assistant that's a checklist. We had another student make a little widget that would sit in the corner. I don't know where I am on the camera here. Widget that would sit in the corner and just, it was an RPG character, like you could ask it questions, but it was ahead of its time, but we still have all the code there for that. So if we could take content in HAX and just write a slash command analyze, or write a slash command chunk, and then it does that, that's the next iteration. I'd say the iteration after that is to put it in an auditing tool, so that even if I'm not an ID, I'm just someone that's writing or making content of any kind, I can perform those audits and provide check marks associated with the skills there are to run based on the context of the type of person that I want to be doing this thing. This could be an accessibility audit on my content. This could be an instructional design audit. Sky's the limit here. So where are we at with that? So for additional scope and context, the importance of related skills also described to participate in universal design for learning as well. So you might want to add a skill related to that. And I've already pulled down 35 courses that we did deep analysis on to come up with what the most used blocks are, how humans write content using HAX. So I train data for HAX, how humans write really good courses, figure structures, and so kick that off. We'll see what's made in the end. I'm sure I'll attach a post or something. Oh, there's something with the PDF there. What do we have? This is what's fun when you merge the technology with what this thing is and do analysis from like bedrock. So if we have bedrock foundational worldview sort of stuff. Okay, I read the book. That's great, because I'm not going to read 382 pages. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen, Bill. So cross-check it against grad. So you look at the other ones. Okay, thesis. Teachers are designers. Everything's activity-oriented. The 3 stages of backwards design. Yep. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Yes, yes, yes. 6 facets of understanding. Awesome. Transfer problem, authentic task, particularly read the template. Great. So what it is not, that's also important. Needs to say what the thing is, but also what it isn't. Right? It's not anti-grades. That's a really good insight. So the artifacts. Okay, these map directly to these concepts in HAX. Quizzing, we have these sorts of things for doing assessment. This is why the semantics of the schema were so important to start developing 2018 to get to where we are 9 years later. So, I'll do this. Subject, content, awesome. Rubrics, okay. Proposed skill family, that's what I wanted. So, these extend your existing mesh. Good. Yeah, it should. I mean, if it conflicted with it, I would throw out the old ones. Bloom's taxonomy was just thrown in there as an example. 5 skills, okay. Backwards design, master orchestrator. Take a topic, standard or existing content, and runs a full 3-stage process, submitting both UED and unit plan, 6-page template, and HAX site skeleton that embodies it. That's okay. Backwards design this module. That is exactly the sort of thing I was looking for. I want to be able to have content that's produced and then do this reverse lookup sort of analysis. Gaining clarity on goals, unpacks standards. Okay, cool. Stage 2. The other fun thing is that I can put this in place and then actually work with IDs to refine it and say, it wasn't really that, it missed the mark here. So we can build out that rules system that AI craves so that it knows kind of the edges to bump up against, gives it better constraints. Unit audit. unit. I think I'd have to know what a unit is, because we don't define that necessarily. I would have to read that off. So that's a little concerning, but focus companions, essential questions, absolutely. Yeah. Split out only if authoring volume warrants it, otherwise live as a reference. Okay, reference is probably fine. Want me to scaffold these? I can generate a skills MD for the 5 core skills. Starting with add a PRAW rule capturing design HAX course units via backwards design so the worldview persists across sessions. Yeah, see, so it's proposing rules for how we would use this to write better courses in the first place. Propose the specific AI agent skills that map. Yes. Now, is it? Let's see. Is it going to put it in PRAW? That's the key. The key thing here. Okay. So it'll also be curious to see. So this is generating a plan for how it would make these other ones. I don't. Yeah. Okay. I'm like looking at the file system in another tab. So this is how it would propose performing an audit and design via universal design for learning. Now it's funny, it's sort of crossed the streams here as far as backwards design. So I'm going to have to tell it once this job finishes that, hey, you need to actually go through and rerun this analysis. So this would also be a good area to potentially lean on something like Fable, because Fable is just incredible as far as planning tasks. Code that I've written recently with Fable is it's fine. So we'll see where this ends up, but really fun stuff around the corner. Just check out hacks.psu.edu.